Hey Yankees fans, welcome to Yankees Rumors and News, your go-to spot for the latest buzz and updates about our team. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a scoop. If you follow this channel, you already know that when the New York Yankees are quiet, they are never really quiet. And when the Yankees look hesitant, there is always a deeper story unfolding behind the scenes. Because this franchise lives at the intersection of pressure, expectation, and legacy, right now. The buzz around the Bronx is not about what has been finalized, but about what is still being debated, negotiated, and internally justified. The situation involving Cody Bellinger is the clearest example of that tension, because it perfectly captures the sides that want the same partnership, but envision very different paths to get there. And the fact that conversations are still happening tells us that neither side has fully walked away from the table, even if the gap remains wide and uncomfortable. From the Yankees' perspective, the initial expectation inside the organization was that Cody Bellinger would likely find a deal elsewhere, one that aligned more closely with his desire for stronger guarantees and long-term security. From Bellinger's side, there is a clear understanding of his market value, not just as a former MVP, but as a versatile defender, a left-handed bat, and a player who can still redefine his career narrative. When those internal expectations leaked, it felt like a soft goodbye, yet here we are, still talking about negotiations, still seeing reports of creative brainstorming, and still watching both camps search for mechanisms that do not fundamentally change their positions, but might make the deal feel more acceptable on paper and in practice. Instead of simply raising the guaranteed salary or extending the number of years, the Yankees are exploring alternative structures, and this is where things get interesting. A player option is one of the ideas being discussed, and it makes sense when you consider the motivations on both sides. For Bellinger, a player option represents freedom, leverage, and the ability to re-enter the market while still positioned to command a strong deal if his performance rebounds or stabilizes at a high level. For the Yankees, it offers flexibility and a sense of control, because they are not committing to additional guaranteed years that could weigh down future payrolls. It is a compromise that does not fully satisfy either side, but it keeps the door open, which is sometimes all you need in negotiations like this. Another concept on the table is a sizable signing bonus. And while that might sound like a minor technicality to fans, it matters greatly in the Yankees' internal accounting. A signing bonus delivers immediate value to the player, without inflating the long-term luxury tax impact in the same way a higher annual salary might. For a front office that has clearly drawn a line in the sand regarding tax thresholds, this becomes a strategic tool rather than a simple concession. It allows the Yankees to say they did not increase the core offer while still sweetening the overall package in a way that Bellinger can appreciate. Whether that upfront cash is enough to bridge the emotional and financial gap remains the key question. What makes this situation more revealing is the visible contingency planning happening in parallel. The Yankees are not negotiating in a vacuum, and they are making sure that alternatives are at least explored, even if they are not yet fully embraced. That brings us to the quiet but notable check-in with the Chicago White Sox. Regarding Luis Robert Jr., this is not a random name, nor is it a smokescreen without logic. Robert represents a different kind of gamble, one rooted in upside, athleticism, and the belief that environment matters more than recent stat lines might suggest. Luis Robert Jr. has not lived up to the superstar trajectory many expected over the past 2 seasons, particularly on the offensive side. And that reality cannot be ignored. However, when the Yankees look at him, they are not just seeing batting averages and box scores. They are seeing plate discipline trends that hint at growth, underlying metrics that suggest better outcomes are possible, and defensive excellence that plays in any ballpark, especially one as demanding as Yankee Stadium. There is a belief within the organization that a change of scenery, combined with a more competitive roster and a clearer role, could unlock a version of Robert that has been dormant rather than lost. The idea of pairing Robert with Jason Dominguez in a complementary alignment adds another layer to the intrigue. Their platoon splits could theoretically balance each other, creating a left field situation defined by speed, power, and defensive range. On paper, it sounds dynamic and modern, the kind of athletic outfield concept that contenders are chasing. In reality, it comes with substantial risk, not just financially, but in terms of prospect capital and long-term planning. The White Sox are not giving Robert away, even if their asking price has reportedly cooled interest around the league. For the Yankees, The question becomes whether that risk is preferable to missing out on Bellinger and settling for a lesser free agent option that does little to move the needle. All of this circles back to a larger and more uncomfortable conversation that fans have been having with increasing volume and frustration. Aaron Judge is in the middle of his prime, performing at a level that borders on historic, carrying an offense that too often feels dependent on his presence and his production. Every offseason that passes without a decisive, aggressive push feels like time slipping away, and the cautious approach from the front office has begun to feel less like strategy and more like complacency. When you have a player like Judge anchoring your roster, marginal upgrades and financial restraint can feel like an insult to the urgency of the moment. Rival teams are not standing still, and they are not waiting for perfect conditions to strike. They are loading up, spending boldly, and acting as if championship windows are meant to be attacked, not protected. In contrast, the Yankees appear trapped between competing philosophies, wanting to remain flexible while also claiming to be all in. That contradiction becomes glaring when the roster construction leans so heavily on Judge to mask its flaws. The frustration is not just about one player or one contract, but about the cumulative effect of conservative decisions in a league that increasingly rewards boldness. As this offseason continues, the Bellinger negotiations and the Robert trade check are not isolated stories, but reflections of a broader identity question. Are the Yankees willing to take calculated risks to maximize the remaining prime years of their superstar? Or are they content to manage assets and hope that internal improvements are enough? The answer will not be found in press releases or polite quotes, but in the final shape of the roster when the season begins. Until then, every rumor, every creative contract idea, and every exploratory phone call tells us that the Yankees are searching for solutions, even if they are still hesitant to fully commit to the kind of moves that define champions. If you're enjoying the updates, drop a like and let us know in the comments your thoughts on this rumor. There is a strange electricity in the air around the Bronx right now, the kind of buzz that usually shows up before something massive breaks loose. And insiders are whispering that this time, it is not just another routine rumor floating through the winter chatter, but something that could shake the identity of the franchise itself. Because a mysterious global superstar is being linked to the Yankees in a way that feels both inevitable and unreal. And fans are already connecting the dots in their heads, imagining pinstripes on a player who until very recently felt untouchable, distant, almost mythical in the way only true international icons can be. The name being murmured in hushed tones across front offices, clubhouses, and late-night radio shows is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And even saying it out loud feels like tempting fate, because he has been so closely associated with the Dodgers that picturing him anywhere else feels like rewriting a script that was already supposed to be finished. Yet the rumors insist that something behind the scenes has shifted, that conversations have taken unexpected turns, and that the Yankees have quietly positioned themselves not as outsiders dreaming big, but as a very real destination that could pull off one of the most stunning moves in recent memory. What makes this speculation feel different from the usual noise is the way people describe it. Not as a loud pursuit filled with leaks and public declarations, but as a calculated, almost surgical approach. The kind that the Yankees historically favor when they believe timing is everything, because sources hint that there has been mutual curiosity, subtle signals exchanged through intermediaries, and a growing sense that Yamamoto is intrigued by the idea of redefining his legacy on the biggest stage baseball can offer, in a city where every pitch carries weight and every start becomes a national conversation. For the Yankees, this is not just about adding talent, it is about sending a message. Because landing a pitcher of Yamamoto's caliber would be a declaration that the organization is once again willing to bend the gravity of the sport in its favor, pulling elite stars across oceans and expectations alike. And there is a feeling that the front office understands how symbolic this move could be, especially after seasons filled with frustration, near misses, and a fan base desperate for a spark that feels transformative rather than incremental. Around the league, executives are said to be watching closely, trying to read between the lines, because the Dodgers were widely assumed to be the natural home for Yamamoto, a comfortable fit backed by familiarity and stability. Yet rumors now suggest that comfort might not be the deciding factor anymore, that Yamamoto is thinking beyond familiarity and weighing the allure of challenge, history, and the kind of spotlight that only the Yankees can provide, where greatness is not just celebrated but demanded, and legends are measured against ghosts of legends past. Fans in New York, of course, are already letting their imaginations run wild, picturing packed crowds rising with every wind-up, late innings charged with tension, and a new ace walking to the mound with calm confidence while the stadium hums with expectation. Because Yamamoto represents more than just elite pitching, he represents precision, poise, and a global prestige that would instantly elevate the rotation and reshape the narrative around the team's future. The speculation grows stronger when people talk about the Yankees' recent behavior, the way they have kept financial flexibility, avoided short-term distractions, and positioned themselves for a move that requires patience and conviction. Because signing Yamamoto would not be a casual decision. It would be a commitment to building around a player who could define an era. And whispers suggest that ownership is fully aware of the cultural impact such a signing would carry, both on the field and far beyond it. Meanwhile, the silence from the Dodgers has only added fuel to the fire, because in this sport, silence is rarely empty, and some believe it signals uncertainty rather than confidence, as if even they are aware that the pull of the Yankees, combined with the promise of becoming the face of a historic franchise in a global market, is a force that cannot be dismissed, especially for a competitor who thrives on pressure and embraces the idea of being tested at the highest possible level. What truly excites the rumor mill is the idea that this move would not just be about money or market size, but about ambition meeting opportunity. Because Yamamoto is known as someone obsessed with excellence, preparation, and legacy, and the Yankees, for all their recent struggles, still offer a platform where excellence echoes louder than anywhere else, where every dominant performance becomes part of a larger story, and where international stars can transcend the sport itself. People close to the situation describe a growing belief that the Yankees have presented a vision, not just a contract, one that frames Yamamoto as a cornerstone rather than an accessory, as someone who would be trusted with the biggest moments and empowered to lead. And that kind of respect, combined with the challenge of conquering the most demanding environment in baseball, might be exactly what pushes this rumor from fantasy into reality. As the whispers continue to spread, the Bronx feels like it is holding its breath, aware that if this deal materializes, it would be remembered as a turning point. A moment when the Yankees reminded the world that they still know how to shock, how to dream big, and how to pull stars into their orbit. And even if nothing is official, the mere possibility has already reignited a fan base that thrives on hope as much as history. For now, it remains a rumor, a tantalizing possibility floating through conversations and social feeds. But it is the kind of rumor that refuses to fade, growing stronger with every passing hour. Because deep down, many believe that Yoshinobu Yamamoto in pinstripes feels less like an impossibility and more like a secret waiting to be revealed. And if it happens, the reaction in the Bronx will not just be loud, it will be absolute chaos. The kind that reminds everyone why baseball rumors can sometimes feel as thrilling as the game itself. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with every Yankees rumor and news. See you in the next video.